Hello, this is Tiffany Almeida with Pretty and Paper Crafts, and I'm going to be teaching you all about Versamark. I've got 5 different cards for you that show you how versatile Versamark is and how many fun different ways you can use it. For this first video, I'm going to show you how to do a simple watermark background. So can you see it's very faint, it's not very dark, but I'm going to show you how to do a watermark, very simple thank you, beautiful thank you card that only takes a few minutes. It's super easy, and I love that you can use Versamark as a watermark or a background without any other additional items. So I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll show you if you want to kind of make that background that you created with the Versamark pop out a little bit more, then you can do this card where I'll show you how I did this background using Versamark and clear embossing powder. So the things that you'll need to complete these projects are, of course, your Versamark stamp pad, your clear embossing powder. So I have mine in a little container so that it's kind of safe and I can pour back all the powder. You'll need a heat gun. It's handy to have one of those around. And then you're going to need your bubble over stamp set and pool party ink. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make this card first, the Watermark card. All right, so let me get so your kit should include the following items. It should have a Whisper White base. You should have a piece of Peekaboo Peach. You'll have a banner made of Pool Party, a little Starburst Punch in Whisper White. You should also see a bottle and a label that will go over it. And then you'll have a piece of window sheet with washi tape attached to it, and that's for your card as well. It's just a way for it to stick on something, not your card, until you can assemble it. And then a piece of Pool Party baker's twine. So let's go ahead and do our stamping first. We're going to stamp our bottle first. I've already cut out the pieces for you because, you know, you may not own the framelits, but it's all right. I cut them out for you. You just have to do a really good job of lining them up now that they're already punched out. So I'm just inking up, and don't fret when Pool Party doesn't, you can't really tell when you've inked the stamp. It's a really light color, but I promise you it's there. So just try to line this up as best you can. And because it's not, it's a photopolymer stamp and my surface must not be even, I'm probably not going to get very good even coverage. So I have brought out my piercing mat to kind of give it a nice even surface. So there's my bottle. And then on the label for your bottle, I have your kindness is most refreshing. And you were just going to do that in Pool Party as well. So I'm inking up my stamp, center of my label, and stamp. And there you go. That's it for the Pool Party. You can put Pool Party away. Now, the only other thing we need to do is stamp thank you all over our piece of Peekaboo Peach. And we're going to do that with Versamark so that we get a watercolor background. Not a watercolor, a watermarked background. So basically it's just going to be a darker version of the Peekaboo Peach. That's the effect we want. So I'm just inking up my thank you and just deciding where I want my sentiments. Can you see that? It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. It's not dark. That's not the point. The point is not to get a very dark image. It's kind of going to be our background. So you just stamp thank you all over your background. And Versamark ink is kind of sticky, and that's what allows the embossing powder to stick to it. But in this case, we're just gonna let it dry like it is and not put any powder on it. And that's it. That's it for the stamping. Now we just need to assemble our card. So you'll get your base and you'll glue your piece of Peekaboo Peach to the base. I love the watermark. It really does give a nice kind of fun little background without a lot of work. The next thing we'll do is glue down our pool party banner, our little banner here. Okay, so that's the very background, or the very back. Then we've got our starburst. You don't have to stamp anything on him. He's just gonna go lay down right over slightly to the right, not quite centered. Okay, then I took my washi tape, and you can just peel it right off the window sheet, and it may curl up on you, but it's okay. And the thing you're going to want to do with it is you're going to want to cut, I probably should have left it on the window sheet, but you're going to cut a V out of it so that it has the exact same design as our banner. And you just want it to slightly overlap, like so, and just bring it all the way to the end of your card. And then you can just trim off the extra. I can get my fingers to work today. There we go. Like so. All right. Put my extra washi tape there and set it aside. Now, I glued my label onto my bottle, and then I used dimensionals to put my bottle onto my scallop, onto my starburst punch. So that my bottle pops out a little bit. So don't put it standing straight up and down, you know, give it a little kilter. Nothing in life is perfect, so why should our bottle be? Just set it kind of cattywampus, and then I like for it to be glued down before I tie my bow, because that way it kind of anchors it for me. And you just wrap it around your bottle and tie a bow. Like so. And then you can trim it down to size if it's too long for you, which it's definitely too long for me. Oops. My scissors don't want to cut anymore. At least not the baker's twine and ribbon. Okay, there we go. So that is that. What a cute and fun and easy thank you card using Versamark. This is definitely one of my favorite ways to use Versamark, but we're going to get into some fun, a lot more fun different techniques using the Versamark. So for our second card, I'm going to bring that out again. You will need the clear embossing powder and the Versamark ink and the heat gun. Okay, so here's what your kit will look like. You'll have quite a few little pieces, so don't lose any of those. There's a lot of little pieces, so watch for that. So you will have a piece of Calypso Coral, and that's going to be our base. And then we're going to layer a Lemon Lime Green and a Bermuda Bay on top. So those are our three colors for the card. Now, to stamp our little star, we need to get our star, our little star circle, and we need to get a block. Okay, So there we go, and we need our Versamark ink. And we're going to do exactly like we did with the thank you card. We're going to stamp all over the card where we want this star to show. And I like to go off the page a little bit in some places. Oh, you know what? Back up. Something that's going to help, not necessary, but something that is going to help when it's time to emboss is using an embossing buddy first, so that the embossing powder does not stick to anything but where the Versamark ink lands. Because sometimes the oils on our hands and things will make it so that the embossing powder will stick to other places on the card. Sorry, I should have told you that right at the beginning. So I'm just gonna stamp all over. It doesn't matter where. I like random. I'm just trying to make sure that the the Versamark ink gets a good solid image. So I am putting pressure when I stamp. Just turning my star in different directions. Maybe one down here in the corner. All right, that's good for me. And you'll just keep doing it until you're happy with it. And then I like to have a piece of scrap paper around, because this is where I'm going to just dump the embossing powder on it. And then it has a way for me to kind of scoop everything up on this piece of paper and pour it back into the container. So you'll get your embossing powder. I'm using the clear. And I'm just going to cover the entire card. I know this looks like a big, hot mess, but it is really fun and it works. So I have pretty much just dumped out the entire thing, but it's not a big deal. We're going to, now that we know everything's covered, and I like to do this, tap it just to make sure all the excess comes off, like so. And then I'm going to fold up my piece of paper, make sure all the embossing powder gets to the center, bring in my container and just pour it back. Pour it back. All right. I'm going to close this before accidents happen. Okay, now it's time to heat. Now, I like to use my piercing tool. You can really use anything that you have around, something to hold onto your paper while the heat gun is going, and not your fingers, because it gets really hot really fast. All right, so then you're going to take your heat gun and you're going to heat it until it turns clear and shiny. So when the powder is shiny, you know you've heated it long enough, and you can move on to the next star. And that's it. You see how I did that? And now you have this really pretty shiny background. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble the card. It's really easy to assemble. Now I'm going to glue my lemon lime down to my Calypso coral, because those can be glued down directly. We're going to hold off on the Bermuda Bay because we have to tie the baker's twine around it first. So we've got our baker's twine, and you can see that in this card it's kind of slightly below the center a little bit. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. And we're going to wrap it several times. I think that's good for me. So 3 times is ideal. You want to still give yourself enough room to tie the bow. So three times, and then we're going to tie our bow, and I off-centered my bow to the left side, so I'm going to try and duplicate that. Now, baker's twine gets twisted up pretty easy, so you just kind of gotta fuss with it until it's right. Yep. See, it's gonna be, you get to sit here and watch me fight with it. Okay, so then I have to kind of shift mine over, but that's all right. And we're definitely gonna have to trim the edges because I don't want my strings that long. But now that we've got it tied, I can actually glue it down so that it doesn't move. And I'm gonna just put extra glue around the ribbon area so that it holds it down really well. All right, so I think I've got my ribbon where I want it. And I'm going to center it in the lemon lime and glue it down like so. And there you go. Now you've got the base of your card. So you'll have quite a bit of these little pieces here. So we've got three bottles cut out of vellum. You should have 2 shiny bottle caps. You should have 2 white straws, one going each direction. There is a front and a back to the straws. The back should not have as much definition, and it should look like it's indented, where the front is, you know, going outward. I guess that's not even a word. But anyways, that is the effect you want for your bottle, for your straws. And you've got 3 labels. You've got 2 lemon lime and 1 Bermuda Bay. Those are going to go over our bottles, just like this card here. Okay? And the thing about vellum that you'll have to be careful is you don't want any adhesive to show on places where it's not going to be covered. So, what I'm going to do to ensure this is I'm going to glue my labels down first so I know exactly where it's covered and where I can put my dimensionals. So I'm gluing down my labels, just kind of centered in the bottle, doesn't really matter. Like so. I really like vellum. I don't use it as much as I should. It's such a cool little accent to cards. It's fun. All right, so I've got my 3 labels on. And so now what I can do is I can actually go flip my bottle over, and I can put adhesive on the back of it to stick my, do this for the Bermuda Bay one, and you can stick your straws down where they need to go in that adhesive. If I can grab the straw. So see, you can stick that down and you're all set. See that? And so now you don't see any adhesive on the front. And then we're going to get our dimensionals and throw some dimensionals on the back so that it pops from the card. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing to these guys. We're going to put dimensionals on the backs. I like to do like one on the top, one on the bottom, so it's kind of stable. Doesn't move around on me. And just take the backings off of it. Okay, and then since I'm going to do my lemon lime bottles first, you'll just kind of put the center of the bottle across the baker's twine to kind of hold the baker's twine in place. Or at least it's going to look like it's holding the baker's twine in place. Now you want to give some room in the center for your other bottle, but they are going to overlap a little bit. That is intentional. And I'm going to put my center bottle just slightly down from the other two bottles. Okay, and then you've got a couple more pieces. So you've got this bottle cap, which is going to go in the center of your Bermuda Bay. And then we have this little 1 3/4 inch circle. This we're actually going to attempt to stamp on. This little sentiment here, yay. Now, you can do it as a watermark. You can stamp it as a watermark on the Calypso coral, and it will just appear as a darker version of the Calypso coral. So we'll try that out and see what we get. Again, remember this technique was with our first card. Where we just did a watermark or a slightly darker image than the cardstock. So we've got our Calypso coral cardstock, and we're just going to try and center it. And there it is. Yay! Yay is right. Okay. Maybe hard to see, but it really doesn't have to be dark. This one's not very dark at all, but it's still really cool. Okay, so we're going to glue this down onto our bottle cap. And for this little gluing stuff, I'm definitely going to use my Tombow, my liquid glue. It's just easier than trying to use runner. If you have a type of glue that you prefer, by all means, use what you like. And then we're just going to glue that bottle cap to the center of our bottle. And then we have two silver bottle caps. And those we're going to put right on the top of our two bottles that do not have straws, because those ones haven't been opened yet. Like so. And Tombow takes a minute to dry. And there you have it. So I have shown you two different fun little backgrounds on a card. Let me get my other ones out. So we've got two different kinds of backgrounds just using Versamark. Isn't that cool? And they're both very different but very fun, beautiful backgrounds. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for purchasing this class. And I'll see you for the next video where I'm going to show you some more fun Versamark techniques.